Cities across the country have been rocked by violence again this weekend, Memorial Day holiday. It spilled over into graduation ceremonies, this one in New Orleans. One woman was killed, two others were injured after a shooting happened outside of the graduation, stemming from a fight between two women. And then there was this, 15 mass shootings over the holiday weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and on Monday as well. Gun Violence Archive defines the mass shootings as at least 4 victims of gun violence. Joining us now is Pastor Corey Brooks. He's the CEO of Project Hood. It's a Chicago-based organization that aims to end the cycle of poverty, violence, and incarceration. Pastor, we appreciate you coming on once again. Same topic, different day, and this is coming out of the violence in Uvalde. I guess to begin with, is there any community or city in the country that seems to be handling or reacting to this violence in the right way?
You know, I think all over the country, we're having an issue with handling the violence that we're seeing and experiencing every single day. I know that here in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, we're doing the very best that we can possibly do, but yet that's still not good enough. And I think that's what's happening all across America. People are trying, people are praying, people are working as diligent as possible. But we're experiencing this violence that is growing rampant every single day.
One of the things you do is focus on education, trying to offer mentors and leaders to youth, specifically in Southside Chicago. What do you want to see done that's not happening yet?
Well, I'm on this roof. I've been living in a tent for 172 days to bring attention and awareness to the violence, but also to build a community center that addresses the issues that we see every single day, not just in Chicago, but across the country, where we see the hopelessness and we see educational levels that are failing our kids, where we see fatherlessness and kids in need of mentors. We're trying to create a place, a safe space where people can transform their lives, where they can grow and learn trades, where they can grow and learn about business and become entrepreneurs and change their lives around. I think we need more places that are focused on solutions instead of bickering and hollering about the problems that we see every single day, and they're not going away until we all start focusing on the solution. And I think that's where the focus of most of us in America need to put our attention.
Hey, Pastor, 51 shootings in Chicago over the weekend. Far more children have died in Chicago since the beginning of the year than died in Uvalde. Is there a lack of caring, you think, or lack of attention to that violence and to those dead children because it's not as politically convenient for leaders and for the media as talking about how we need gun control out of Uvalde?
Yeah, I think people have become desensitized and accepted this as normal for young Black boys and young Black kids to be killing one another across these urban areas. And whenever that becomes acceptable, that's bad for America. I think what has to happen is that we have to get away from allowing the media to come up with these talking points that focus on areas unlike Chicago, unlike Philadelphia and other urban areas. We have to continue to do exactly what I'm doing, bring attention and awareness to let them know that, listen, the violence here is just as bad as any other place, and we need to focus on it just as we need to focus on all these other places. That does not take away from what we saw happen in Texas and what we saw happen in New York and Buffalo. Those are extreme cases. They are horrible cases. But what's going on in Chicago is horrible as well.
And I just want to point out, we're looking at violence from across the city on public transit and in other places as people look at their screens right now. Pastor, does getting more guns off the street help? Does that make a difference?
I'm for the Second Amendment. Let me say that first. But I do understand that there are some illegal guns, especially here in the city of Chicago. We have young kids that I know are carrying guns. Someone has suggested that the statistics of young boys under the age of 18 that are carrying guns illegally is 60% of the young Black boys in Chicago. So there is a problem. We have to deal with that problem. But we're going to have to do a better job at leading these people to God, leading them toward a moral lifestyle and leading them away from a life of crime. We have to do that not just in Chicago, but we need to do that all across America. And until that happens, we're going to continue to see these issues every single day. And people like me, we have to stand up and take charge of our own communities and not wait on the government to come in and solve our issues, because as we can see, that's not going to happen.
Well, good role models is a great place to start, and Pastor Brooks, you are one of those, and you're finishing what you started years ago and trying to raise awareness. So we thank you for coming on tonight, and keep it up. I know you're raising a lot of money and doing a lot of good.
Absolutely. And tell Leland, even though he won't go to a theater, he can come visit me on the rooftop for a night on the south side of Chicago.
You know what? That might happen.
We'll watch Top Gun up there together.
We'll come see you.
Absolutely.
No,
Thanks,
thank you. And I've interviewed Pastor Brooks a few times, and he's one of the very few community activists who actually practices what he preaches.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been on a roof deck for 163 days. That means through winter in Chicago.
Right.
And tells the truth, whether the intellectual class that donates typically to these causes likes it or not. It's impressive.
Money where his mouth is. He's raised $11 million. $35 million is his goal. Look it up, and if you want to donate, he's doing his part. And by the way, real quick, I don't want to move past this. I didn't mean it to seem insensitive when I made the comment about movie theater shootings.
No.
I want to remember what happened in Aurora, and as all joking aside, every place is a target, and that's the reality, whether it's a movie theater, a grocery store, a school, a neighborhood park in Chicago. It's happening everywhere, and that's the focus tonight. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.